But despite all of this, they still aren't able to get people to vote for the right parties, right? So I think that's part of the collapse in control of the narrative, which is what we're seeing increasingly, manifest efforts at intervening in electoral processes
And it's
themselves.
obvious. It's in plain
I mean,
sight.
in Romania, they literally cancelled an entire election because the wrong guy won. I mean, this is essentially where we're at in Europe. They will literally cancel the result of an entire election if the wrong guy wins. I mean, this happened in Romania, an EU country. And the EU establishment and the NATO establishment were completely in on this. And I would say were likely, among the driving forces behind this idea that, look, this candidate, he's too critical of the EU. He's pretty critical of NATO, and Romania is a key NATO country. It borders Ukraine. We're building one of the biggest American bases in Europe at the moment. We can't afford democracy to get in the way of all this. Now we're seeing the EU resort to similar tools even in third countries, but countries that play a very important role for the EU. So we saw similar efforts in Moldova recently, where huge numbers of Moldovan expats weren't allowed to vote, especially those residing in Russia and Transnistria, which is a break-off region of Moldova. We saw similar efforts in Georgia. Those did not pan out in the sense that the attempt to essentially resort to massive amounts of fear mongering and to get people to vote for the pro EU, pro NATO candidate did not work, which is why now they're trying to foment some kind of regime change by getting people out in the street and creating violence and havoc, as we saw just a couple of weeks ago. So this is where we're at. We're at a stage where there's almost nothing they will stop at in order to maintain their grip on power. I'm talking about the European elites.